Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode from TCG353. Today we are getting right into games with this really cool purple yellow Robin decklist, excuse me. The leader has Banish, and when you swing you can trash a trigger effect from your hand and ramp. The aim of this decklist isn't exactly to ramp, it's actually to swarm the board. We use Holy and Ohm as a combo to get pressure out of our opponent's hand early. We also use some trigger effects to ramp. We are mostly using Straw Hat characters, and we have Sky Island in there, so it is a Straw Hat Sky Island hybrid deck that works really well. The more games I played with it, the more I realised that it was actually very much a 10 cost Luffy deck, and for that reason it is the best card in the deck. What happened there was we played out the Ohm and tried to search for a Holy, which was a bit greedy. What we should have done there is played out the Sanji, which was a more guaranteed searcher, or we could have played out the Sanji was best, yeah. It was always going to be the Sanji really, or swung a bunch, but they had a blocker, I do believe, so it wouldn't have been worth their time. Now we do have the Ohm on board, and it is a 6k body thanks to Ohm's ability, so we swing 7 at their leader, because we believe that they won't block for that because we have a Banish coming to them. We are actually not going to use attached on to make this Banish swing any scarier, because we want the Robin on the board. We trash 1 life with that and gain 2. It is a shame that we trash a trigger, but Robin is such a good card that we don't mind that happening all that much. Our opponent's board state now is quite defensive, but they don't really have anything much happening. If they want to Fire Fist and KO the Robin, they're welcome to do so, but they will be dealing 1 damage to themselves, so our opponent's aware of that and is thinking on how they want to proceed with the next turn. If they swing into our life, we will absolutely take, because we are chocked full of Borsalinos in this hand, so of course we do want to take, and we type out to our opponent asking them are they still there, because it's been a while and I feel like they may have left. They haven't, they were just thinking on who to Fire Fist, I bet, and they chose for the Robin, and they swing 8 into the Ohm, so they have successfully removed our board when you think about it. And look what we have come up here, it is the Monkey D. Luffy card, which we are thankful to see actually. The reason for that is because it is good top end that we have in this deck, and also the rush possibilities will allow us for here in this move, when our opponent thinks we won't have a rush card, to get the free block off. Our opponent actually doesn't. They rather than getting free block, they give us 2 and a 1k, so us swing 7 now either prompts them to block or take a life, or maybe a Rebecca blocker if they choose to, because we have restood this Luffy. So our opponent chooses to take the free block and we don't swing again. We want to keep it standing. If they choose to remove it through the Fire Fist, so be it, but we don't want it to be turned sideways to get Fire Fisted and then just punched by the Viola. It wouldn't be worth it for us. Our opponent doesn't have a Sabo to play out one of the 7 cost events, but they sure do have a 7 cost event to use. We have enough counter in hand, but we would be giving them our entire hand, so we don't bother with that. And we trigger a baby 5 to draw 2, which is a very good trigger actually to come up there. It's just that we pull into a bunch of cards that we probably don't need all that much. It's important for us here, so we would actually really like to use the Luffy and become a 7k leader, but it is very important for us here to not be on 1 life. And when we swing 8 into our opponent and they take a life immediately, we think to ourselves, okay, let's not swing again, because if we do, they might be able to trigger out this Goldie Roger, and that would be difficult for us to manage. We, rather than using another Borsalino, we use Sanji, and we're able to search a Gum Gum Giant, which is very strong. This Sanji searcher is actually very strong, very good in the deck. and I could see a Purple Yellow Robin build being made that is totally Straw Hat and actually working very well. There's plenty triggers in that deck as well, and there's some cool events that you could use and sort of be a spellcaster with Purple Yellow Robin. Anyway, we have not used the 10 cost Luffy yet, but it is in our hand and is an option if our opponent chooses to not go very aggressive into us in this turn, which it seems like they're not going to, because they are choosing to go very defensive instead. We'll take a 6k, we'll take a block and a 1k rather than giving them 2k, and well, we were hoping there that our opponent would swing with the Sabo afterwards, but they don't. We poke 5, considering here now whether we'll swing with the Borsa, which we do, and I think that's actually a very good turn to do. When we seen that they countered out for 5, then we were pretty certain that they don't have a Roger in hand, because if they did, they would have just taken that and used the rest of their blockers. So that is the reason why we swung in that way, and we swung aggressively with our Borsa. We could have swung with the Luffy as well, but we do really want to keep that standing, so that we have a strong lethal potential in the coming turns. We know that they stack blockers, as you've seen throughout this whole game, and they also have a bunch of Sabos in their deck, so having a double attack character of 7k power is very useful. They use the 7 cost Sabo and are able to bottom tech what looks like the Holy. Well, I didn't think we had one of those on the board, so I'm not sure there. Maybe it was the Nico Robin after a 1 cost event. I think that's what happened. So our opponent has 3 blockers up, has a 5k swing with lead if they choose, and an 8k with Robin. We are going to block out of that, and our opponent doesn't swing with leader, because we're 7k, of course they cannot. We begin again by poking 5 and seeing where that leaves us. It actually matters a lot, to be honest, how we manage our turn on what they do here. And they give us 2k counter, which is actually quite interesting to see. We have options here now, and one of them is to play with that Sky Island Luffy, or we could be a bit more defensive next turn as well. It is up to us. We could also just go big with this Rush Luffy and swing 11 twice. We choose instead to swing with the Robin, because we know from this game that our opponent really does not want to take a Banish, so we're hoping to get a blocker from this, and we get one indeed. We use the card action here to take a Sky Luffy to hand and set our Rush Luffy back up standing. We are really hoping for them to give us blockers sideways. They don't, so we swing 12 into the Boa Hancock, into life actually. I mean, they're going to give us a Rebecca blocker here, so it doesn't matter all too much. And now we have the option to swing 7 and 8 with our Borsa, if we so choose, or we could just let this turn last again. We do have a certain playing style on this channel when it comes down to endgame, especially when we're playing with a deck like this, and we, from the way our opponent counters out, has been countering out this game, we choose to go aggressive. We swing 7 with our Borsa and we swing 8 with our Luffy, and we actually get the win. So good game to our opponent. I think we played that very well actually. Maybe searching with the Sanji at the start wasn't necessary, because we would have had 4 down more to be able to spread out on our board, but good game to our opponent. Let's go into the next one against Gecko Moria, and I consider Nico Robin a very strong counter to Gecko Moria, because they just can't get out what they want. Of course, Gecko Moria has so many triggers in their deck, but if you're banishing their cards, they can't actually activate these triggers. We'll see how we use the Banish in this game to put pressure onto our opponent Gecko Moria. What happened first is that we triggered the Boa Hancock event to play out a 6000 power or less character with trigger from our hand, which was the Sanji Searcher. So we played that out and searched out a Luffy. Our opponent plays out a Zoro, trashes a card from hand and heals, and we have a Boa Hancock event again, but we actually don't have a card in hand that can give us that is trigger and under 5,000, unless we wanted to play the baby 5, which we actually don't. We'd rather just have it as counter in hand. So here now we play out the 7 cost Robin and use the Calgara, and we do not swing. The reason we don't swing is because we just don't want to give our opponent value for triggers. The only swing we really want to be swinging in this early game is our Robin, and our opponent wants to be swinging big. They swing a 10 and a 10. We take both of those because we are in quite a strong position with our life and our counter events as well. So now we have a 7k Boa Hancock leader and a 12k blocker, and every time we deal damage to our opponent we are drawing a card with Calgara, so we're actually very strong here. We also have the option of double attacking if we so choose, but we haven't yet. Our opponent plays out the Boa Hancock, which only heals them. It doesn't put anything back to our hand. And we have another Sky Island Luffy, so we'll see if we want to use that or not, and how we want to sequence our swings. We swing 5 into our opponent. The reason we did that was just to get a bit of value out of that card before we play over it. We play over it with the blocker Luffy. Our opponent counters the first 5k swing, and we swing 7 into them and draw with the Calgara then afterwards. We're considering here for a second on whether we want to pressure their life down a little bit more, and we choose to. The reason for this is that we feel pretty confident in our hand and the defense that we have at the moment. Our opponent plays down a Perona, and the Perona freezes our Holy, so lethal next turn doesn't look. We probably won't go for it because the double attack would help that lethal a lot. Now our opponent is able to crack that Perona and freeze a Calgara, so we only have 4 swingers on the board at the moment, and we'll see how they distribute their Dawn. Bear in mind now that we do have that Boa Hancock event, and we will get to use it here. Now it's actually very, very strong in this deck, I find. So we are able to freeze the Boa, and it can't swing against us that turn. Very good. And now we are in a position where we can consider going for game. We're going to swing 5 Banish into their leader. If they take this, then we're pretty happy to keep on going. They take the first 7k swing, or they block out of the 5, counter out of the 5, take a 7, and now we just prolong the game, which is, in all fairness, a little overindulgent actually when you think about it. We could have actually just went 17 and 17 into their life. Our biggest fear was that they would have a Zoro trigger from life, and if we went all in like that, then we'd actually be in not a great spot. So we swing into the Perona to deny them life. Our opponent gets a Borsalino out, which is sort of annoying, but also our board state is so massive that it doesn't matter to us too much. And here our opponent decides on how they want to swing. We don't have a Dawn up for event, so we'll probably take a life and take a block as well. Having a blocker up will be useful to us, obviously, so that it can be a swinger. Our opponent is swinging, it looks like 8 and 12. We block it at a 12, and we give them counter for the 8, or no, we'll take, and look at that trigger off life. We get a Nami trigger who allows us to KO a body, and now I hope that we're going to go for game. We use Nico Robin to put 3000 power on our leader, get a Banish off, and look, our opponent just concedes. They had 2k counter in hand. We had too much damage on the board as well, and we also had that Rush Luffy in hand, so it's not like we were going to be looking for any other way to get lethal. I think it was going to come. And now we are into our last game against another leader, another yellow leader. Similar to us, they're using the Egghead Luffy, so we'll see who can use it better. This is a really fun game. I'm glad I saved it to last. There's a lot of cool things that happen during this. Our opponent on turn 2 plays out a Zoro Sky Island to heal a life and discard a card from hand. We on turn 3 swing 7 into them, and I believe we will look for a Sanji Searcher. Okay, we choose to use the Ohm and trigger the synergy for the ramp effect. We are ramping a lot because the principle of this deck is actually the 10 cost Luffy, and the more games I played with this Robin, the more I realised that. Now, we did get to trigger off life, but we don't have a trigger event or a trigger character under 6,000 in our hand, so unfortunately we can't use that. And it's not looking like our hand is too character heavy. We've got a lot of spells, so I think the best bet for us here now is to go super aggressive into their life. Swing 7 and see if they take that Banish. And what's cool about our board state here, right, is that our opponent is aware that we have a double attack, so it's like, what is the lesser of two evils to them? Would they rather get double attacked, or would they rather get banished? We keep 2 Don up because, well, we don't want to die in the next turn, and if our opponent starts splitting Don, then we will actually be in quite a bad spot. They don't, but we still have a bunch of events in hand, which is quite good for us. The only thing is, our opponent is now a 9k leader, which might be hard to swing into. They swing 6 into our Ohm, they can have that. They swing 6 into our life, they can have that. Or they can't have that, we'll give them a 2k, and we Gum Giant the final swing. Look what we draw into again. We have a Gum Giant, so we have 2 giants and 2 Boa Hancock events in hand. We'll see how it works out. We also have 2k and a 1k. But I don't think we are going to use the 1k because the chances of us finding an Ohm are slimmer now that there isn't one on board. We see that our opponent has 1 done up, so we're keeping that in mind as we swing. We use the Nico Leva to get 3000 power and attach 5, so we are swinging 13 at them. That means they'll have to give us that event that they have, if they do have an event, and a 1k counter, which would actually be a good result for us. We'll see what they do. Yeah, they do use the event and they give us a 1k, so their hand size is quite low. Now we have 3 done up for events, and we'll see what way we do this now. You see that our opponent plays out a rush character, and we're able to freeze both of their bodies, both of their big swingers. The opponent swings 6 into us, and we Gum Giant that, realizing there and then that if we don't pull into counter next, we are in big trouble. Specifically a 2k, and look what we find off the rip. It's a 2k. Our opponent is 7,000 power now. We have a few different lines here, and we do think about this for a good long time. We could go 3 7s with the Holly Ohm and the Luffy ×2, or we can just go 2 big swings and hope that we're able to get the win that way. The 2 big swings would look like 10 and 10, and we'd swing with the Nico Robin first, of course, because the Nico Robin would banish their life, so it would allow us then to, with the Ohm, swing at the exact same card total as we'd be swinging with the Robin. The 3 7s was enticing because it looked cool, like it sounded like a cool idea to do. But I'm very glad in the end that we chose to attach 4 Dons, as you see here. Attach another Don, so now we're looking at 10 and 10, and our opponent has to have 2 2Ks, or 2 and a 1. And what do they have? They have 2 1Ks and a Goldie Roger, so good game to our opponent. They just weren't able to get it done, unfortunately for them. They sequenced incorrectly also at the end when you think about it. If they had swung with their one of their big characters first, it would have been fine, but look, it doesn't always work out that way. Good game to our opponent. I hope you enjoyed watching these games today. I know you guys like Purple Yellow Robin, and I thought I'd bring a deck list to you so you can watch and appreciate the gameplay. I'm recording this late at night because I'm going on holidays tomorrow and I want to prepare some videos, so if the audio quality is a bit ASMR, I do apologise. I'll be back to normal next week when I'm back. Thanks very much for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you'd like to subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. I'm posting every day, so there is plenty to come and plenty to see, and plenty time to join the community. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye now.